Aloha. I swear, I don't swear anymore, but every time I want to start this, she comes over to say hello. No, she doesn't want to say hello anymore. Welcome back, everyone. It's another happy Sunday. And I have something that may interest, excuse me, may interest someone that needs to be healed on the physical level. I did a episode on 40 with healing. It was a thumbnail on healing. It was triple cold pressed castor oil. I highly recommend it for anyone that would like to look into another level of healing physically. I've got another one for you. Excuse me. My goodness. Got a frog in my throat. And we have this thumbnail is going to be on aloe vera and how important aloe vera is to humanity. And I knew about it when I was a child. I don't know if I was a child. I was like 15 or 16 when I heard about it. When we got into it was even before Edgar Casey. So I was 12 years old when I knew about aloe vera. Later on, I got to know when Mom and I came back from Jersey to get Mom and Dad got remarried. We got into Arizona. No more Band-Aids. Band-Aids were gone. Now we went to aloe vera. Aloe vera was our Band-Aid. Bro wasn't too happy about that because, well, we should have something on Band-Aids. He was wearing them before. He was the guy that was wearing them when there wasn't a cut, which we all know, kids. You're supposed to have a boo-boo when you put a Band-Aid on. Well, yeah, well. Aloe vera, aloe vera, aloe vera. When did aloe vera come around? If you want to Google it, you can say, well, they think it came around about 6,000 years ago. Uncle Martin thinks it came around a lot longer, further back than that. All we got right now is some pictures in Egypt of an aloe vera plant, which, by the way, this is what Uncle Martin's talking about. There's over 20 varieties. This is what Uncle Martin's used for over 50 years for healing his boo-boos. And as you well know, if not already, Uncle Martin likes to experiment. In episode 40, you'll really see what I'm talking about. But whenever I hear something is possible, I gotta try it. You know, I mean, if it's positive, and aloe vera is positive. We learned when we learned that it'll cure, it'll help ulcers and get rid of them. I'm not going to say it cures anything because, well, actually we can say that because even the medical field, they came out in 2015 saying drinking aloe vera juice will help diabetes and take care of that. So medical field's going with that now. And I knew about the ulcer situation back when I was 15 and 16. So anybody with ulcers or diabetic, you might consider, this is what we did. Okay, let me just throw it out there. These grow, by the way, from this size to 3 feet. I got them 3 feet all over my yard. All right, that's just the way I've always loved growing aloe vera. It has a pretty flower, and I'll tell you, I got 2 stories for you. I got tons of them, but I don't have time all day for this. But two that you'll really enjoy, I'm sure. Aloe vera has properties to it. It has like 9 minerals. It has tons of calcium, chromium, copper, selenium, sodium, zinc, iron, and they still say that they don't even know what is actually really in this plant. Even scientists say that there's more that they don't even know about this plant. At least they have an open mind on it. I'm grateful for that. So we can say 6,000, at least 6,000 years now, this plant's been around. Aristotle taught Alexander, and Alexander was nobody until he was taught by Aristotle. We know that because then after he was taught by Aristotle, Alexander became great. And who was Aristotle? Well, Aristotle, everybody knows. I know all you kids have been taught this in school. Aristotle was the first person to invent the field of formal knowledge. And as you look around, you wonder, normal logic. He he invented the field of formal logic. So I was going to say, knowledge. Yeah, knowledge is everywhere, but how logical is it? That's what I say. Are we logical, kids? Or do you look around? Do you see a lot of logical people? I think we should have more Aristotle being taught in school. And who was Aristotle taught by? Well, of course we know that was Plato. And then who was Plato taught by? Well, that was Socrates. Well, I know I'm beating a dead horse, and all you kids know that already, but this is just the way it is. Everybody back then knew about aloe vera, okay? So I know maybe we just forgot about it. That's why Uncle Martin's coming out and just trying to tell you some of the happy little stories that I did to experiment on myself to see how wonderful this plant really is. I got so many, but we don't have enough time. So I'll just start with 1980. It was, oh my gosh, it was with Marsha. Marsha. She was in episode 40, the one that was rolling her patients. I can't go there right now. But you should check out episode 40 with triple cold pressed castor oil. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm with Marsha. I'm in the backyard. I'm doing irrigation for Dad. I stepped through a pipe. It was one of these big irrigation pipes. This is like a big irrigation pipe that has been there since 1947. It was all lined up in the back of my yard, going an acre and a half that we got our irrigation water coming in, which, by the way, I'm still working with my lawyers on that. Somebody just can't come in and dig up your irrigation pipes, kids. Well, they can, but then you got to go to the court system. And it's coming very positively. When it happens, I'll let you know the outcome. But this is the story. My foot, I was walking over the irrigation pipes, and my right foot went through the irrigation pipe. It was all rusted, this particular irrigation pipe. So when I went through, I was just fine. And then I was barefoot. As you well know, I like walking around barefoot. So when I pulled my foot up, the top skin of my top of my foot, which is very tender area, if you ever look down at your feet, you know what I'm talking about. There was the skin had been, since I pulled out this way, the rusty pipe, the top of the skin flapped over. And Marcia's looking and I'm looking, I'm saying, that doesn't look too positive. And it wasn't bleeding, but there was like, what was it? It was kind of a liquid form. And immediately, Marcia, remember now, Marcia was a nurse. So she said, you immediately flap your skin back over. I'm saying, no, I don't think so. There could be, bacteria and stuff. And she says, no, flap it over. I said, well, Marcia, look right over there. There's an aloe vera plant. Would you hand that to me? Would you please hand it to me? So she grabs one of the. It was a bigger one than this. It was a big fat leaf, She grabs it off, and I just went down the middle, which you're supposed to do, by the way. You go down the middle with it, you open it up, you squash it all up, and then you put it on the wound, whatever you got. And by the way, I've had cuts prior to that I actually, you're not supposed to do this, kids, by the way, ever do this. As soon as you get a cut, you get a boo-boo, you take care of it immediately. But I, I did it so many times and it got better. I say, how positive is this aloe vera? So I waited until I got infected. I know. It's a negative thing to do, but I had to experiment on myself. And what I found was, when something gets infected, kids, there's a feeling you get, and it's not positive. So I waited until that, and then I got my aloe vera and I put it on, and immediately I felt something happening. I felt a healing of the aloe vera plant is what I felt. And then that sensation, let's say, went away, and the boo-boo got better, okay? This is what I've done only a few times to make sure it really worked. Sorry. It's just the way Uncle Martin is. He's an alchemist as well as everyone else out there. We all experiment to some extent to see if what we understand to be true, is it really going to work? That's all. That's all we are. Is we're all here on planet Terrific or Terrible to see the things that we've been fed. Is it really true, or is it false? That's what we're here to realize. Now, I'm not saying to wait until you get something infected to do this, by the way. I'm just saying this is what Uncle Martin did. He had to do this. So when she handed me and I squashed it all up and I put it on my foot. Well, first of all, I drizzled it over my foot, leaving the skin where it was, and then I flapped it back over. Just getting to tell the story how it's really happened. So then I got the rest of the squashed aloe vera, and then I put it over the top of the skin that had been put back where it belonged. And at that point, she's saying, "Well, you come on, let's go, hurry up, let's go. We got to go get." Well, no, she says, "When was the?" She's a nurse. She's got to ask me this question. And she says, "When was your last tetanus shot?" And I was thinking, it was 1980 now, and it was like when I was 16, which would have been, like, I don't know, in the 70s, 72, something like that. And she said, no, you got to come and get a tetanus shot because every 5 years you have to have a tetanus shot when you do something rusty stuff. You got because negative things can happen to you. And I said, well, I understand that, but I have to finish irrigation here, and it's very important that we get this done. She says, no, we must go now. I said, well, look, see the fence we got here, there's some great duct tape. Would you mind handing it to me? So she hands me the duct tape. So the aloe vera that I had squashed on top of my foot now is a Band-Aid. It was my Band-Aid. And I got the duct tape and I wrapped it around and finished up the irrigation. It's only about a half hour left anyway. So we didn't live too far. I was coming in to watch Dad and Bro, make sure everything was okay. Yeah, that's another story. Can't go there right now. We're staying with the thumbnail, aloe vera. So I get home, and now Marsha's saying, she's thinking since I'm home, we're going to go to the hospital. And you know what, kids? She wouldn't leave me alone. She kept saying, come on, let's go to the hospital. We're going to get a shot. I know the doctor that has these shots is going to give you a shot. I said, no, I don't think so. I'm going to I'm going to stay with this Band-Aid that I have for about 24 hours, and I'm just not going to get any water on it, and it's going to heal. It's going to heal my foot. And she says, no, it won't heal. See, she's under the doctor's. When you go to a doctor, it's called the doctor's practice. See, the doctor's practice. That means they're still practicing. Sorry. All doctors are in the learning mode, all right? Not every doctor knows everything, and a doctor that does say that, I don't think I don't think he's a very wise person, okay? Because if we go back to Socrates, the fellow that taught Plato, that was one of the things that Socrates was known for. He was known for three things, and I don't remember the other two. But I do remember this, that Socrates did say that human wisdom begins with the recognition of one's own ignorance. This guy was a very wise man, Socrates, because he taught Plato, and Plato taught Aristotle, and Aristotle taught who? Who did he teach? That's right, Alexander the Great. Okay, I'm not no name dropper here. This is all true. You can check this out. So doctors are still working with what they understand to be true, and God bless them for it. Hopefully they're doing more positive things than negative things. But it would take a lot for me to go see a doctor, kids. That's just the way Uncle Martin feels. Now, I'm not saying for you not to go to a doctor. If something's wrong and you don't feel like healing yourself, definitely head off to the doctor. Stay with a positive one that says that you're going to live. The ones that say you're not going to live, get away from that guy and find somebody else. I got to stand with that as firm as possible. With this little plant, with Marcia, we went back and forth for at least an hour that she wanted me to go get a shot because she said that I could get lockjaw. And I said, well, I don't think so. I think that's rather negative. And she said, oh yeah, you're going to get lockjaw. If you don't go get that shot, you're going to get lockjaw. I saw that rusty pipe and I know that you're going to get lockjaw. I said, no, I'm not. This aloe vera will heal me. And she saw that I was pretty firm on this. So what she said was, fine. Fine, fine, fine. If you get lockjaw, then I just won't have to listen to you anymore. And I thought that was rather negative. So we left it at that, and by God's grace, Uncle Martin was healed by the aloe vera that I had to see if it would help, and obviously it did, because that was about the rustiest pipe that I recall ever stepping into. Okay, so that was that little cute little story. The next one would be on burns. The burns. There's so many, but I got to go with the burn because it was a third degree burn, and I got witnesses. I got pictures on it. It happened to be. I mean, if you looked at my hands, what hand would it be on? Right? They look pretty much, well, they both got an M. You know how that is. We're all from Atlantis, everybody that has an M. It was this hand right here. Doesn't look like there's a scar there, and there isn't. That's because what I did, and that's the little story. And I'm telling you, this is documented because I took pictures. I got it on this phone. I can't show you now, but I promise that I'll, because you know how I like to experiment on myself. So I just got to know. I just got to know if it's going to work or not. That's all. That's the way I am. My friends, Doug, the G-Man, and Lona. All right, they're friends of mine. And it just so happens that Lona's a nurse, and Doug's her husband. And the G-Man's the child that I've known since he was born. He's at an ASU now. He's like, you know, just a sophomore. The kid's a genius, by the way, you know. But that'd be another story, I'm sure. At 2, he knew all the planets. He knew star systems. I mean, this kid was at 2 years old. He's talking about star systems and planets. You can just imagine how he is now. He's a genius. So anyway, they invite me over for Christmas, this last Christmas. And if anybody in Arizona remembers, it had rained for about 3 days, so there was nothing but wet wood everywhere. So what they said was, "Come on over. We know how you like fires, and we're going to have a big fire. And we have wood, but not enough wood. So make sure on Christmas we're inviting you over for dinner. Bring some wood." So I had a few logs that were big pine logs. I'm going to estimate between 85 and 105 pounds. I just like burning big logs. So, long story short, we get down to there. They got a fire going. They got a big fire pit. The fire pit is nicely raging. The G-Man and I get the log out of the back trunk. We're carrying it through to the fireplace, to the fire pit outside. They have a big fire pit, not as big as mine, but they do have they have a protection wall around it, like you're supposed to contain your fires, as anybody knows. G-Man and I put the log right on top of the fire that's burning. Hours later, there's not much but a little piece of the log. So you can imagine the fire is rather warm, is all I'm saying. All I have at this time, by the way, I'm saying there could be opposition from Uncle Martin to do all this, and I do know that there was opposition, because this is what happened. I was looking at the phone that I had, and I was looking at episode 1 or 2. That's all I had, was 2 episodes. So if you ever go back to episode 1 and 2, that was a remake. Everything else from there wasn't, okay? Because what happened was I was looking at either episode 1 or 2, and I felt somebody push me. But later on, I realized that nobody pushed me, but I went forward into the fire. Can that happen? Well, it did. It was on Christmas. Well, actually, it was 2 o'clock in the morning. So it was Christmas, 2 o'clock after Christmas, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm falling into the fire with my phone. But obviously, when you're falling into the fire, you put your hand out to stop. So I put my hand out and I stopped myself, actually, and I guess my phone went that way. I wasn't really thinking about my phone. I was just thinking about, well, I'm falling down into the fire. And so I pushed myself back up, and I looked at my hand, and my hand, well, it had a bunch of white ashes and some chunky charcoal too. It was sort of black and white charcoal and whitish. And I said, that doesn't look right. So I went like that. And when I went like that, whatever was adhered to my hand took 7 layers of my hand with it. And I looked and I said, I have 7 layers of skin that's missing here. It doesn't look right. What should I do? And I said, oh, if I only had some aloe vera. I was immediately, this is like all 30 seconds, this is like seconds going by. But you know how quick, maybe you don't know how quick-minded I am. It may not seem that way, but I do think on a Mercurian quickness sometimes. And I'm saying, if I only had aloe vera. Well, I looked to the right, and son of a gun, all these aloe vera plants are coming. And it clicks in. 10 years ago, I gave Lona, Doug, and the G-Man one of these little plants. And now, 10 years later, there's a ton of these plants. Now, I could have said they could have been watering them a little bit more, but it was perfect, because I went over and I grabbed a stalk, and there was enough succulent something in there, the liquid inside the aloe vera, to where I could cut it open and immediately put it. So that was within 35 to 45 seconds. It did not take me very long to realize I had to put something over this gap that was in my hand. So I just put that on there and pretty much just went inside. I think I watched the movie. Can't say which movie it was, but then I fell asleep on the couch, and then about 6 o'clock, so that would have been about 3 hours later, since I stayed up about an hour, So 6 o'clock, Lona's going to the hospital to go to work, and she says, "Oh, you see aloe vera on my hand." She says, "Oh, what'd you do? What'd you do to your hand?" I said, "Oh, I think I burnt it. It's nothing to worry about, And her being a nurse, hey, let's see what you got underneath that aloe vera. All nurses want to see your boo-boo, kids. There's something in them. I don't know what it is. It's something about a nurse. Probably doctors, too. So she's, I know what it was. I know what it was. She says, "Where's your phone?" while she's discussing my aloe vera, she says, "Where's your phone?" Because she wanted to see one of my episodes. She didn't see either one of the episodes, 1 or 2. I said, that's a very good question. And then we went on to the hand, and then it was, I showed, and she says, "You've got 3rd-degree burns. You've got to come to the hospital with me now. I know some people over there, and they can put all the stuff on there." I said, "Nah, that's okay. I got some aloe vera here, and it's going to be just fine." She says, "No, there's 7 layers of skin missing. You guys can't do that." And I said, "No, it's going to be just fine." So I kept the aloe vera on there. I never even went and got another new one. It still had some succulents left in it. So I kept that as my Band-Aid. And then we were discussing where my phone was. She's ringing my phone. She says, "Well, I got the answering machine. It must be around here somewhere." And I said, "Well, I wonder if it..." I went back in and to outside, and we found the phone. It was all totally melted. There was nothing left. There was a couple strings of nothing left of the phone. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do this? There seems to be opposition for Uncle Martin to do how to how to beat up a bully, without having to fight. Because I had done 1 and 2, and that was how 1 and 2 goes. That's my handle. How to beat up a bully, without having to fight. But everybody's just Googling now, Uncle Martin, how to beat up a bully, and they're getting me. And I believe it was in episode 4 or 5. I said, there's going to be somebody taking me out of context, and they're going to forget about without having to fight. And it's already happened. It's happened already, kids. This has already happened. This negative thing. I think I'm going to have to change my handle to something else, like maybe Uncle Martin's Magic or something. I don't know, something more positive than this other thing that everybody's Googling and finding me under how to beat up a bully, and they're forgetting about without having to fight. This is really disturbing me. So anyway, I get home. I said, "No, Lona, we're not going to go to the hospital. I'm going to be fine." So I think I said goodbye and went home. I got another fat hunk of aloe vera. I put a fresh one on. And then I was thinking, I think there's something else I can put on this to heal my hand. So as an experimenter, I had already put jars up. I do different jars of, I did one with comfrey leaf with, what is it? I did cold pressed castor oil with one, but you can't leave that in the sun. But you can put organic coconut oil. And that's what I had. I had 33 days on 3 jars, and I wondered which one I was going to pick. The chamomile, which is very healing, the comfrey, which is very, very healing, and then I had the slippery elm. And I said to myself, I'm going with the slippery elm, because as we all know, the slippery elm has so many healing properties to it. I can't go there right now, but I do know, well, see, I said, if it helps the lungs and it helps the healing and wounds, would it not help my hand? That's what I was thinking. So that's what Uncle Martin did. He just, first I waited until I got some kind of little scab. It only took like 24 hours. The next day, it wasn't quite a scab. It was kind of, the missing skin was kind of filled in a little bit because I kept getting aloe vera juice, and I kept going in and letting it dry, doing more, letting it dry, doing more, letting it dry. So I was filling up my hand with aloe vera juice. Yeah, so when I did that and it finally kind of crusted over a little bit, then I said, now it's time to try something else. So what I did was I took the 33 days in the sun the slippery elm that I had with the extra virgin coconut oil, and I applied that as a poultice over the top. I didn't wrap it with anything. I shook it all up. I put it on there, and it made a really nice Band-Aid for me. So I've got pictures of this that I promise to show from that day to 7 days later. And I kept saying to you kids, if you leave the body alone, it will heal itself within 3 to 7 days. And I stand by this to this day. I'm living proof of these pictures that I took of myself. And every day, I would take a picture and then I send it to Lona. And she's kept, remarking that it's not supposed to work that way. It takes longer. It takes longer to heal that way. And I'm saying, even nurses know and doctors know that there can be exceptions. And so by the 7th day, I got everything pictures, and I got the time, okay? So I got to go to FedEx or somebody and have these blown up so I can go picture 1, picture 2, picture 3, pictures up to 7, and you'll see. And then by I believe the 30th, I don't even think it's 30 days. I think it's like 2 weeks that we got a picture, and I mean, it's a little red. Maybe it looks like some skin was taken off, but it doesn't. There was no scarring, is what I'm saying. A lot of people say after those kind of burns, it's gonna be scarred. You're gonna be scarred the rest of your life. No, this is not true. This is not true. That's all I'm saying. There's different ways of looking at things, is all Uncle Martin's saying. Hopefully, you're not centering on negative things. That's the other thing I was going to say. My whole concept of thought was that this hand was being healed. My foot was being healed. My arm that I talk about when I broke my arm in episode 40 on cold pressed castor oil. I'm just saying, there are healings that your body can do by yourself, that you can, and sometimes you need help by other people having those thoughts for you also. Kids, there's healings that way also. Praying for someone, there's healing in that. We already know what it does for plants. The classroom that prayed for the plants, and the plants got brighter, and then the kids that were cursing the plants, they were dying. Yeah, it's just a coincidence. No, thought is very important, that we bless more than that we curse. This has been proven time and time again. That's why there was a very great person that said, it is better to bless than it is to curse. And I think a lot of us have things to learn on that, and that's why we're here. We're just here to learn that it is better to bless than it is to curse. And that's just the way it is here, guys. We're either going to learn that or not. And I learned it really, I don't think I was ever cursing anybody anyway. I just always thought, hey, that's too much negative karma for me. I knew that at a very young age. We were just brought up that way, kids. Not everybody is. That's all. That's why Uncle Martin's coming out and saying it's better to bless than it is to curse. And it's been proven this way, too. Okay. So that's about what we got with aloe vera. There's a few more stories I could do, but I think these two should be enough for you. Boy, the one with these two are just fine. And I promise you this, that when I get these pictures, I'll say 45, episode 46 with aloe vera. What I said there, this is what it meant, and I'll have the pictures up for you. Okay, I promise you I'll do that in a short amount of time. So that's all I got really for aloe vera right now, other than there's over 20 varieties, but this is my favorite. And I highly recommend you start with a little one. It'll grow into a big one, and then you'll have a bunch of little babies, and you just to keep planting them everywhere you want to go. And every time you get a burn or a boo-boo, you rip that, you take it off, and you put that on instead of a Band-Aid, and you'll heal up much quicker. The Indians have been using it for thousands of years, all right? Egypt has pictures of it 6,000 years ago, and they called it the immortal plant. That's because it doesn't even need sand or dirt, but I highly recommend you plant it, all right? That's what I wanted to say. Alexander the Great, he was one that was putting it on everybody's wounds at that time too. So everybody knew about it back then. It's just maybe people now that don't realize or forgot about it. That's why Uncle Mark's coming out. Aloe vera. We always took one of the leaves off. You put it in a jar. Perfect. You take it off. Put it in a jar. Wash it, clean it. Put it in a jar of water with purified water, and always have it in hand in the refrigerator. Perfect. And whenever you get a boo-boo, you take it out and you put it on your boo-boo. Let it dry. Do it a couple times. Put about 3 layers on. Let it dry, and you'll be fine. Depending on the cut, I imagine, too. But and then, okay, let's just say you don't get any boo-boos. Fantastic. This is even better news. You take the water and you drink it after about 3 days. And you drink the water. And know what happens? You get so many electrolytes. You get so many things in your body. I already went through all the minerals that it has, all the vitamins it has. I didn't tell you the vitamins. It has vitamin A, it has vitamin C, it has vitamin E, it has vitamin B12. So it has all the vitamins. I went through the minerals. And it has even more than that, because the scientists say we don't even know exactly what everything's in this plant yet. And this is fantastic, because that means that it has even more healing stuff for you. So you drink the water, and you'll be even healthier than you are now by just drinking the aloe vera water, okay? So that's all I'm going to say on aloe vera right now. So until we see each other again next Sunday, aloha and be well.